Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Roderick Caesar III. I'm the lead pastor of Bethel Gospel Tabernacle. And thank you for joining us for this informational session on COVID-19 and the COVID-19 vaccine. Once again, a special thanks to our panelists for just coming in and bringing some of their wealth of information and knowledge to this forum. I'm just going to open up with a word of prayer and then we'll begin. Dear God, I thank you so much for this time. I thank you for each person that has showed up today, each person that is here. I pray that you would have your way. I pray that you would guide our discussion, and I pray that you would be glorified in all that we do. We thank you, we praise you, we give you glory. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you all, and thank you for coming.
Okay, thank you, Pastor Rod. Welcome, welcome. Today we're here to talk about vaccine safety and the efficacy of the vaccine that we have out there. How are we affected by COVID-19 as a people of color? We have compiled information from the CDC, from the World Health Organization, and we have reviewed several journals and even articles, researches concerning COVID-19 vaccine. Some of you have submitted questions. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. We would like to do our best today to address all of your questions and all of your concerns. Not like they say it's power. We know that there's several information out there. Some are like half-truth. Some are like in between about the vaccine and the process in which this vaccine is being made. Sometimes they don't give a full story. So our objective today is to give you a complete story that you will be well informed to make the right decision. As a community that has been deeply impacted by the coronavirus, we need to be proactive and not reactive. We have a team of panelists who are well-equipped professionals in their own very right. Join me to welcome. First to welcome is Mr. Marvin Thompson, one of our very own. Mr. Thompson.
Good evening. It's good to be with you. I am a lab director with New York City Health and Hospitals, and I'm happy to be with you this evening to help make things clearer for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Sherri Croney.
Everyone, and I'm an infectious disease specialist, trained in infectious disease specialist. I'm glad to be here.
Our very own Dr. Rosemary Jackson-Davenport. Dr. Rosemary.
Hi, I am a pediatrician and the CEO of Dove Pediatrics.
And of course, I am Sherri Adeosun. You're very known. I'm an epidemiologist, a registered nurse, and a public health specialist here to support you. And I'm going to invite on to join me on the stage, Miss Pauline Ferrante, a community liaison from the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. What an honor to have you in our midst, sharing with our community.
Thank you, Minister Sherri. I am so glad to be here with everyone, and I will provide a brief overview of the COVID-19 situation for New York, as I know everyone's interested in getting to the Q&A. So this is the current case and percent positivity rate across the city. As you can see, it was pretty high during the beginning part of January, and we are seeing that the numbers are slowly coming down, which is a good sign. We have information per borough on our website. We can see that Bronx and Brooklyn are above the citywide average. Manhattan is below. Queens and Staten Island are also above the citywide average. You can find all of this information on the New York City Health Department website. The most important thing that we would like to convey to the community is that we need to stop the spread. We encourage everyone to continue to get tested and to separate from others immediately when you test positive. We are asking everyone to continue to maintain the core 4, which is to stay home if you are sick, wear a face covering when you are outside the home with people outside of your immediate household, keep 6 feet of distance, and wash your hands or use hand sanitizer frequently. We also are advising to avoid travel and any gatherings. There is also a commissioner's advisory for older New Yorkers, people with underlying health conditions, and their household members and caregivers, just to take extra care during this time. There is also updated face covering guidance, because we know that a lot of people are using cloth coverings and sometimes they might be a little thin. And so we are asking people to wear a fitted disposable mask underneath their cloth cloth face covering because that will provide extra protection. There is also something called a KN95 mask that is different from the N95 mask that medical professionals use that needs to be actually professionally fitted to the person's face. A KN95 mask is at a higher level than a regular cloth covering, so we do encourage folks to use that as well. There is links to our website and more information on this new guidance. This is our campaign for the New York City Vaccine for All. It is safe, it is free, and it is easy. These are the vaccination numbers currently as of today, this morning. As we can see, over 1 million doses of dose 1 have been administered to New Yorkers, which is extremely exciting news. And the second dose numbers are coming up. So we have information on our website as well based on adult vaccination by race and ethnicity and age. And as you can see, across the board, white New Yorkers are getting vaccinated at a much higher rate than Asians, Latinos, and Black New Yorkers. This is just really important information for us as a public health agency to focus our education and our outreach to communities that have been impacted more so by COVID-19. This is a map showing all of the people, the adults vaccinated by zip code. This also is on our website, and if you are interested in seeing the vaccination rates for your zip code, you could be able to punch in your zip code and find out the vaccination rates in your area. Again, Vaccine for All is focused on the equitable distribution, including acknowledging the historical and current experience of racism and bias in healthcare and communities that were really significantly impacted by COVID-19. We're working to ensure that both access and confidence in the vaccine is provided to the community. It's led by the Vaccine Command Center, which is an interagency operation made up of many agencies, including the Health Department, Health and Hospitals, the Test and Trace Corps, and the New York City Emergency Management. And we really are driven by our relationships and partnerships with the federal and state governments, our community and elected officials, and other city agencies and sector partners. We really want to go over the vaccine basics, but you have experts on this panel that can go into much more detail. But the vaccines are safe, they are recommended, they do not contain the virus, and they do not alter your DNA. The 2 vaccines that are currently allowable for use under the FDA's emergency use authorization are Pfizer and Moderna. Both of them are an mRNA vaccine and require 2 doses. And even after getting vaccinated, people should continue to maintain those core 4 guidance that I mentioned earlier, which is wearing your face covering, keeping distance, limiting gatherings, but also washing your hands, staying home if you're sick, etc. How does the vaccine get to New York City? This is a big question that people have asked, and the federal government manages the distribution of the vaccine from manufacturers to the states and localities. And New York City receives an allocation proportionate to its population. The interesting thing is that we do vaccinate people who do not live in New York City because it is eligible for people who live or work in the New York City area. So we are working with the federal government to get more doses sent to New York City. Supply still is extremely limited, and we are working very, very hard, as mentioned, with the federal government to get more supply so we can open additional sites, offer more appointments, and vaccinate more New Yorkers. And because of the limited supply, there is a phased distribution and eligibility. And according to the CDC, the New York State, the state actually determines the prioritization for the vaccine. And currently those who are eligible include healthcare workers, people 65 and older, residents and staff in nursing homes and other congregate settings, and other essential frontline workers such as restaurant employees, TLC drivers, and people with underlying health conditions. This full list is on our website, and I encourage everyone to go look. The phased distribution will take time, and we don't expect that vaccines will be widely available for everyone until at least the summer or mid-2021. We really want to focus on our work being grounded in equity, and this is extremely important in enhancing the access and building confidence in the vaccine. Data on uptake so far shows disparities, as you saw on the chart earlier, and we really are working with our Racial Inclusion and Equity Task Force, which was created specifically in response to this. And we increased the number of equity neighborhoods from 27 to 33. Again, we are expanding sites and making sure that distribution to pharmacies and local providers increase as well, because we know that people feel comfortable going to locations that are closer to their home. Appointments can be made online on the Vaccine Finder for city-run sites by calling the 877-VAX4NYC number. This hotline was created because we did find out and realize that seniors in particular were having a difficult time navigating the website, and so this hotline was created to assist in that. We are also partnering with the Department for the Aging and NYCHA and some CBOs to help get community members, particularly seniors, to secure appointments. Transportation options are also available to seniors who need them through the call center. And language access is also extremely important for the city, and we want to make sure that every single vaccination site has language access available, as also our website and hotline. Again, building vaccine confidence is our main mission, and so we really entrust trusted messengers in the community. So I'm so glad to be here tonight and see so many messengers from your community who will be able to uplift this information and uplift the community in receiving accurate and detailed information about the vaccine, so you can make your own personal choice as to whether you will take it. We continue to do outreach in terms of town halls, community partner conversations, train the trainer sessions, on the ground canvassing, robocalls, and mailers. And we have a lot of materials that are available for distribution, and you can call 311 and order any that you think would be helpful for your community. And we will also be seeing a video shortly. Here are more. This is a summary of everything that was just spoken about, but we also want to move forward with a video from Dr. Torian Easterling, who is our first Deputy Commissioner and Chief Equity Officer at the DOHMH. Thank you.
I'm Dr. Torian Easterling, First Deputy Commissioner and Chief Equity Officer at the New York City Health Department. It is important that all New Yorkers have the information they need to make an informed decision about whether or not they would like to receive a COVID-19 vaccine. To help, here are some details I wanted to share about the vaccine and the city's plan to distribute them. First, you should know the vaccine is safe. The COVID-19 vaccine has gone through clinical trials with thousands of people of various races and ethnicities and ages who volunteer to participate in these studies. The vaccines have been authorized by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, as being safe, using the same processes used to review and approve every other vaccine. The vaccines are effective. The clinical studies have shown that the vaccines are more than 94% effective at preventing COVID-19. And the COVID-19 vaccines will be made available to all New Yorkers in a way that is equitable and that prioritizes groups and communities who have experienced the greatest burdens due to COVID-19. New Yorkers who wish to get vaccinated will be able to do so at no cost to them. Currently, we estimate that there will be enough vaccine supplies for all New Yorkers by the middle of 2021. Trust and transparency are at the core of turning a vaccine into a vaccination. I know, given our country's historic abuses and medical experimentation, which Black, Latino, Indigenous people, and other communities of color have experienced at the hands of medical and government institutions, it is difficult for many of us to trust that the government is looking out for us, especially right now when Black and Latino communities across this city have experienced unimaginable harm and trauma during the COVID-19 pandemic. But it is a duty of the New York City Health Department in this city to build back the trust that has been lost. It is with this in mind that equity is at the forefront of our vaccine distribution plan. We want New Yorkers to have the information they need to make their own informed decision. We want to create opportunities for conversations with communities and hear concerns directly so that we may address them. I hope you will join me in these upcoming dialogues. When the opportunity arises for me to take the vaccine, I plan to get vaccinated. I trust the science, and I also want to protect my family, our community, and other New Yorkers against COVID-19. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Adeosun, and thank you so much, Miss Pauline, for taking the time to come and speak to us. We really appreciate that. I know you guys have a lot of questions. You submitted a lot of questions, and we're going to go to the question. So there is really a hot question out there. What is mRNA? We've been hearing it all over the media. Dr. Croney, join me. What is mRNA?
So, I would like to make 4 main points. And one is that the vaccine has been rigorously tested throughout the world. And I would like to remind everyone that all eyes are on this process, not just the FDA in the United States, but around the world. Everyone is looking at this whole process. So just, be assured that this is not being done in a vacuum or be in some corner of a lab someplace, but there are a lot of people looking at this entire process. The second point I would like to make is that it's not new technology. It's not unknown. It's been researched for at least a decade or more. So this is something that, it's presented as new because it is, the coronavirus is new, etc. But the technology has been researched for more than a decade. The third point I'd like to make is that there is no live virus in this vaccine. So there are some vaccines that are made with particles of the virus, but this one does not contain any live virus. So no one is going to inject you with live virus. And then the fourth main point that I'd like to make is that this mRNA does not enter the nucleus of your cells. It doesn't become part of your DNA. So what is it? mRNA vaccines take advantage of a natural process that our body actually has. Our body has mRNA, and the purpose of mRNA is to introduce immunogenicity. So meaning that the mRNA makes proteins which then trigger our body's immune system. So our bodies, react to foreign elements. They react to things that are not part of us. And so when you get an infection, what happens is that a foreign element, be it a virus, be it a bacteria, be it a fungus, enters our body. Our body recognizes that this is not native or natural to our body. It recognizes it. It says this is foreign. And so then it starts the immune process whereby it creates proteins and enzymes and other things to defeat the substance, the particle that has entered our body. So that's what this vaccine does. The mRNA vaccines do this. So the mRNA vaccines introduce something, a synthetic piece of genetic material or material that then causes our body to recognize that it's foreign and causes our body to then trigger an immune response and builds up our immune system. So then what happens after that is that when we become exposed to this virus, like all other vaccines that we take, like the measles vaccine or the rubella vaccine, when our body becomes exposed to it, our body says, hey, I know you, and I have antibodies. I have a system, a mechanism already set up that I can defeat you. So when we're exposed to these viruses, we may get a mild illness, or we may not even get any illness, or it's just it doesn't come to the level of our consciousness that we've been exposed to a particular virus. So, for example, with the measles, okay, if you've had the measles or you had the vaccine, okay, and someone who has the measles, because we know there are a lot of people out now who are anti-vaxxers, and they don't take vaccines, and some of these illnesses are becoming prevalent in the community again. But if you have had the measles vaccine and you become exposed to someone who's has the measles, your body says, "Oh, I recognize this," and it builds up the immunity and the antibodies and all the enzymes and everything to defeat it. So that's the purpose of this mRNA vaccine, is to give our bodies a head start on building up immunity to the coronavirus.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Croney. I mean, you spoke really well. Thank you very much. Just speaking to what Dr. Croney is talking about, I see a comment by Judith just now talking about, see right there, it does not prevent. You can still get it after the vaccine. So it is similar to when you take the flu shot. When you take the flu shot, sometimes you can still get the flu, but it's not as severe as it will have been if you did not take the flu shot. So I will leave that right there for now. And I'm going to go into the next question. We're going to call on Mr. Marvin Thompson to address this question. Will vaccination be recommended each year because of this new strain? Also, just address, do you think they should be concerned about this new variant? What other precautions should they be taking?
Okay, thank you for that question. Now, because all these new variants are popping up, these new strains are popping up, it is very likely that each year we're going to have to get another shot for that. But you should know that for all the variants that are out there right now, the vaccine that we have from COVID, from Moderna and from Pfizer, they are effective against these. So yes, we will likely have to get a shot every year, just like we do for the flu every year as it comes around. And these new variants, even though they are more infectious, they don't seem at this point in time to be more deadly in the sense that they make you any more sick. So as long as you get the vaccine, you should be well protected against them. COVID and the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccines have proven to be effective against the variant from the UK, from Brazil, from South Africa. So they are there and they're multiplying fast. But if you get the vaccine, you should be protected against them. And I think Pfizer and Moderna now are working on, they're formulating their vaccines to address these specific variants. And so maybe next year they will give a booster, because more variants as they come out, they are going to emerge. We know that they're going to emerge, and we know that people are going to get infected. But right now, we cannot say for sure how they're going to affect everyone. So Pfizer and Moderna are making sure that they are getting ahead of the game, and they're already formulating their vaccines, adjusting it to meet these challenges.
Thank you very much. I just want to remind all of our audience that the purpose of this forum is to give you the ability to make informed decision. Is not to make you to take the vaccine or not to take it. We're just giving you and equipping you with the tools that you need to be able to make that informed decision. So I'm going to call Dr. Rosemary Jackson to join me to ask the question is, will let me see the question I'm going to give Dr. Rosemary. What are the long-term effects especially for children and young adults?
As far as we know, currently, we do not know actually the long-term side effects of the vaccine. We do know somewhat some of the long-term side effects of actually having COVID disease or virus.
Okay, great. So can you also address, is there any effect that this vaccine will have on the reproductive health? A lot of young people came up to me that childbearing age, and they're really concerned because there's been something in social media talking about it's going to make people infertile and things like that. Can you address that, please?
Sure. In December, a myth arose from out of Europe. And the concern was that a protein, an important protein component of the placentas in mammals, and we are mammals, men, share similar genetic instructions with part of the spike protein in the coronavirus. So if the vaccine causes you to develop antibodies against that protein, that somehow it would cause infertility. The person who triggered this myth also had to withdraw his comment. And he also said that, no, it did not show in any ways that it can cause infertility. In addition, if you just think about it, over 22 million people came down with COVID. And the statistics as far as infertility has not increased nor decreased. And they develop natural antibodies to the virus. So it really doesn't stand. And in addition to that, when the Pfizer vaccine was being developed and tested in the community, they used volunteers who were not pregnant. But inadvertently, several of them became pregnant during the trial and did really well. So the pandemic has not affected the infertility. The vaccine has not been shown to affect the infertility in women.
Excellent point, Dr. Rosemary. Also to speak to what you're saying, about them using people that are like young. I also know that there was a research I was looking at that some of the people that were part of the participant actually got pregnant during the particular research, the clinical trials, and based on the evidence today, nothing has happened to the kids or the fetus at this time. So, like you said, there's still so many that is not known, but based on what we know, those are the information we're sharing with you today. So we're going to move on to our questions, because I know there's some questions in the chat. Let me see if we can address one or two questions in the chat as we move forward. There's a question for Sherri's ME. It said, will they work on vaccine that is more permanent so that we only need to take one shot for the duration of your life? If there's anyone in the panelists that would like to address that, they can join me, but I can take a stab at that. I would say I am very sure they'll be working on that. Remember, these vaccines are very new. Coronavirus is new, and there's a lot of research. All hands are on deck. A lot of research is going on for us to know more about it, how it works, and now we can actually be able to affect and really create a vaccine that can make us produce an antibody that may be able to last. Yes. Okay, so next question, we're going to go on. Thank you very much, Dr. Rosemary. Thank you, Dr. Croney. Thank you for joining me. So does getting the vaccine prevent COVID, or does it minimize the symptoms if contracted? I think that's been addressed, but you can still speak about it a little bit.
Okay, so you can still, as with any vaccine, like the flu vaccine, the measles vaccine, any of these viral vaccines, you can be exposed to that virus. You may get subacute illness, meaning that you don't get a full illness. but you may get some symptoms, but very mild, and recover very quickly. In terms of the longevity of these vaccines, I don't believe that if this the COVID is a SARS based virus, and if it behaves the same way as the other SARS viruses and the influenza virus, there may need to be a booster every year for the virus. Right now, we're not at the point where we can develop like a lifelong virus. This virus replicates extremely fast, and because of that replication, it makes errors during the replication, unlike a measles virus, which replicates at a slower pace and makes fewer errors when it replicates. So therefore, you can have a more stable vaccine for these viruses. I see a question regarding mixing the Moderna versus the Pfizer versus the Johnson & Johnson. Right now, we don't have the answer to that, but it is recommended that whatever vaccine you take for the first dose, that you should take the same vaccine for the second injection, unless it's the Johnson & Johnson, which is just one shot at this point in time.
Thank you for that comment. There's a question from Grace Perkins. I'm going to go to that question in a minute. She's asking if can you take the vaccine while you tested positive? According to the CDC, you can take the vaccine after 10 days of testing positive. You can take it. That is the current regulation from the CDC. I don't know if any of the panelists want to add anything to that. Just text me in the chat and let me know, and we'll bring you up to add to that particular comment. Dr. Croney, you want to say something about that?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Having had the virus, when you had the virus, your body builds a certain amount of immunity. Okay, so what they're contemplating now is whether or not someone should get one shot versus two shots, because having had the virus is as though you had the first shot, and the second shot is just to boost your immune system. So that's the debate at this point in time. So right now, don't have a definitive answer, but it seems as though they're leaning towards one injection, one shot for those who have had coronavirus infection and have immunity, antibodies.
Thank you. I think your response actually covered the question from Sister Sharon Gresham. Thank you. Our question is, if you had the virus, do you recommend taking the vaccine? In taking the vaccine, what are the changes or chances of not getting the vaccine again or the virus again? So that has really been addressed. Thank you for that question. And we're going to go on to the pre-submitted question. I am looking at this question. Let me see which one we're going to go. Hold on one second. Okay, Dr. Rosemary, can you join me? I have a question for you.
Sure.
Okay, Dr. Rosemary, can you please address, I know Dr. Cheryl spoke a little bit about the different vaccine. Can you address the major difference between the Moderna, the Pfizer, and then the new Johnson & Johnson? Because why are they getting Pfizer in the hospital and some people cannot get Pfizer? Come on, you got to give us some insight.
Okay, great. So currently, there's 3 vaccines, the Pfizer, Moderna, and as of today, the Johnson & Johnson. The Pfizer and the Moderna are mRNA vaccine, as Dr. Croney pointed out, and it requires 2 doses, but it's 94 to 95% efficacious. However, the difference between all 3 of them is the storage. The Pfizer has strict criteria where you need to have a freezer that can go to -60 to -80 centigrade. Whereas Moderna we can put in a regular freezer. And Johnson & Johnson, even better. You can place it in a refrigerator. With that said, Johnson & Johnson vaccine was just approved today. It's made like the other vaccines that we're accustomed to in the United States. The efficacy is a little lower, about 82%. But you got to realize how they came about getting that. When Pfizer and Moderna were doing their studies, the variants of the coronavirus was not out. But since that time, Johnson & Johnson coming along later, the efficacy was tested against also those variants. And they sampled individuals not only from the United States, but South America and South Africa. So when you look at it all, it's about the same. And Johnson & Johnson can boast on two things that Pfizer and Moderna cannot. One, it's a one dose effect, one dose, that's all you need. The second thing is that it remains efficient and effective at a regular refrigerator temperature. So this helps us with patients or individuals who are homebound, in visiting nurses, bringing that in. And we don't have to worry about it's losing its potency. In addition, it's great for those of us who don't think they will come back for the second shot. So that's where we are. And our recommendation, if it's available, take it. We want to increase herd immunity and decrease the variants that are coming up.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rosemary. That was really well said. So let's go to hear from our bishop. Our bishop has a message for us.
Hello, everyone. It's a blessing to have an opportunity to share with you for these few moments concerning our reflections upon the COVID-19 injection, which we took about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was very interesting that we got an appointment to go and have the vaccinations done. But prior to going, I was a little hesitant. And the reason I was hesitant is that I had heard so many different, conspiracy theories and all this propaganda. And I wanted to make sure that the information was correct so that we would go and make a wise decision. But what helped me was that I spoke with a doctor, and the doctor encouraged me and said, Beverly, because you were healthy, because you exercise, because you eat well, you drink a lot of water, and your immune system is intact, you should not have any adverse side effects. But for those people who are not healthy and do not, their immune system is limited, or I should say compromised, then they could have some adverse effects. So we decided to go ahead and have the vaccination.
When the pandemic overtook us and we were in a quandary concerning what to do, when the government finally said that they came up with an injection, a shot that we could take, my first thought on the matter was to leave it alone and not be a guinea pig for the government. I don't really have a lot of confidence in the integrity of the government and the promise of their word that they're really looking out for us. And because of the problems we've had as a people in this nation, being used for experiments and other things of that nature, I didn't want to be among the first to take the injection. But the more I read and investigated for myself, the more I did research and asked responsible, intelligent, articulate people questions concerning it, I became aware of the fact that this was not like the injections of the past. And I felt that it would be safe for me to engage and do.
I'm Dr. Dave Choksi, the city's doctor, bringing you the facts about COVID-19 vaccines. The vaccines are safe and will help protect us and others from COVID-19. Put simply, they will save lives. There are currently 2 COVID-19 vaccines, Pfizer and Moderna, that have been authorized for emergency use by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or FDA. The COVID-19 vaccines have gone through clinical studies involving tens of thousands of people of various ages, races, and ethnicities. The results from those studies were reviewed by the FDA and independent scientists, and the vaccines were found to be safe. The vaccines offer strong protection against COVID-19, particularly against severe illness. The science showed that the vaccines were more than 94% effective after completing both doses. You cannot get COVID-19 from a vaccine. The vaccines do not contain the virus. They teach your body's immune system how to fight the virus when you are exposed to it. Some people get side effects after the first or second dose of the vaccine. This is expected and means your immune system is responding to the vaccine. Common side effects include soreness in the arm where the shot was given, tiredness, or a headache. Some New Yorkers who are at increased risk, such as healthcare workers, have already started to get vaccinated. And when there is more supply of the vaccines, New Yorkers age 16 or older will be able to get a COVID-19 vaccine where they usually get vaccinated, such as at doctors' offices, urgent care centers, or pharmacies. To learn more, visit nyc.gov/COVID vaccine, call 311, or talk to your healthcare provider.
Okay, so I know the Bishop video got cut up a little bit, but we're going to play that video again. Can we cue in Bishop's video? Thank you.
Hello, everyone. It's a blessing to have an opportunity to share with you for these few moments concerning our reflections upon the COVID-19 injection, which we took about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was very interesting that we got an appointment to go and have the vaccinations done. But prior to going, I was a little hesitant. And the reason I was hesitant is that I had heard so many different, conspiracy theories and all this propaganda. And I wanted to make sure that the information was correct so that we would go and make a wise decision. But what helped me was that I spoke with a doctor, and the doctor encouraged me and said, Beverly, because you were healthy, because you exercise, because you eat well, you drink a lot of water, and your immune system is intact, you should not have any adverse side effects. But for those people who are not healthy and do not, their immune system is limited, or I should say compromised, then they could have some adverse effects. So we decided to go ahead and have the vaccination.
When the pandemic overtook us and we were in a quandary concerning what to do, when the government finally said that they came up with an injection, a shot that we could take, my first thought on the matter was to leave it alone and not be a guinea pig for the government. I don't really have a lot of confidence in the integrity of the government and the promise of their word that they're really looking out for us. And because of the problems we've had as a people in this nation, being used for experiments and other things of that nature, I didn't want to be among the first to take the injection. But the more I read and investigated for myself, the more I did research and asked responsible, intelligent, articulate people questions concerning it, I became aware of the fact that this was not like the injections of the past. And I felt that it would be safe for me to engage and to take the shot. And then the other thing is I put my trust and confidence in God. And I know that the Lord is watching over me. He's protecting me and preserving me. And as a result, I had no trepidations, no fears, no anxieties once I made up my mind that I was going to take the shot. And we proceeded from that point to go to a facility where the shots were offered, and we received them. And I'll let Bev tell you a little bit about the injection reaction.
Well, I don't like pain. I don't like needles, okay? So I was not looking forward to be injected with a needle. And so I was apprehensive, but I can let you know assuredly the pain, what pain?
It was
minimal. The injection was just minimal. And so what they instructed us though was that yes, the pain is minimal, but the side effects or the after effects, you're going to feel the pain in your arm. And sure enough, the next day, bam, you began to feel the pain. But listen, it doesn't come close to childbirth, okay? Come on. So it's manageable. But the only thing though is, I think I experienced chills. I don't think you got chills.
No,
Did
I
you get
didn't.
chills?
No.
See, Bishop didn't get chills, but I got chills and I was very tired and sleepy.
Well, the effect it had on me is it made me a little lethargic. I was kind of listless the second day. And by the third day, I was back to normal again. Mm-hmm. But I had the tenderness in my arm, had that listless feeling, and that was it.
That was it.
Once I recovered from those two side effects, I've not looked back, and I'm feeling fine.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to getting the second injection to safeguard us against contamination.
That's right.
And the best thing about it is once we've received our injections, we will be given access to things that we can engage in that will not be allowed without the injection.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to that.
So we're encouraging you, go get yours done, go get yours done. Don't let anybody stop you. Do it for yourself.
There are
and for your family.
There are two things that you should not allow to drive you. One is ignorance, the other is fear. Educate yourself by reading, and then take a stand and recognize that you have nothing to fear, but literally fear itself. Step out in faith, trust God, and believe that the Lord has given us this vaccine to enable us to return to a life of new normalcy. It's going to be new because life as we knew it doesn't exist anymore. But we have to get on with life. And if this is the means by which this takes place, then I would encourage you strongly to go forward and receive the injections. And God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much, Bishop and Pastor Bev. Thank you. Thank you. I know we spend so much time praying that that a vaccine should be created. So I'm so grateful that there is a vaccine. Thank God that the conversation we're not having is, are we going to do this? There's no vaccine. Thank God we have a vaccine. I do know science, just like Bishop said, but I trust God. So we hope that this forum will be able to help you to make informed decisions. So I have a next question from Mr. Marvin Thompson. Please join us, Reverend Thompson. Should you wait to take it if you've had other vaccine like flu, pneumonia, shingles, and if so, for how long? And on top of that, I'm going to add one more question. Which is the best vaccine? Which is the best one?
Okay, sure. You should wait. If you have had a vaccination for, say, flu or pneumonia or for the shingles, you should wait at least 2 weeks before you take the COVID vaccine. And that should go for any vaccine that you're taking. Now, which vaccine should you take? I would say the first one that is available to you. And why is that? In clinical trials, the Moderna and Pfizer vaccine have shown that they are 100% effective in preventing hospitalizations and death. And the same goes for the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And that's the most important thing for you to know, because if you can prevent hospitalization, then it will prevent death. And if you can get it, take it. It doesn't matter which one you take. The effectiveness, the efficacy on all of them are much better than even the flu vaccine that we take every year. So the first one you can get, that's the one you should take.
I think you brought up a valid point that the efficacy and the effectiveness is better than the flu vaccine that most of us take every year. So thank you for even driving that point home. You know, we have a question on the chat from Miss Sister Graham. I'm going to call on maybe Miss Pauline if she want to answer that question. She's asking something regarding that she's allergic to penicillin. So how does the vaccine work with patients like like her. I don't know if you have any experience regarding that.
Sure. On our website, there's a lot of information about the vaccine and its facts, but typically people with allergies should be able to take the vaccine. However, if you are allergic to injectable vaccines in the past, or if you have a very specific concern, you should definitely talk to your doctor and get their medical advice.
Absolutely. That is a very great answer. You got to talk to your doctor, because you know your doctor will be able to sit with you one-on-one and sort of go deep, and they have your history and they can give you like advice based on the complete story. But I can tell you from experience working at the port that we had several clients that were that have allergy to penicillin, but the only thing they have to do is to wait for about 30 minutes instead of the 15 minutes. But of course, that is after they consulted with their doctor, with their primary physician. So we are moving along. This is going so well. I don't know if there's any question in the chat that the team would like to address as we look. I'm going to read this particular question. Is the vaccine harmful to people with underlying condition, congestive heart failure, kidney disease, or even diabetes, or people with that are undergoing chemotherapy? So I'm going to call on Dr. Rosemary. You want to address that?
Sure. Patients who are on immunocompromised medications need to speak to their physician. They may have to wait until they're off the medication for at least 2 to 3 weeks before they can take the vaccine. So they need to consult their specialist.
Yeah, so I guess the
patients are on steroids, chemotherapy, immunosuppressive drugs that patient use in rheumatology, etc.
You're right, Dr. Rosemary. There's actually like a list of questions when you go in to get vaccinated. Before you even, after you're booking your appointment, there are a list of questions that you'll be asked. And then they're like pointers. If you answer yes to one particular question, you're gonna be like stopped and say no, because you answer yes to this one, you can go forward, or they're just gonna remind you to consult with your primary care physician. So that is really wonderful. So I want to call on Dr. Croney. I don't know if there's any things that you would like to say as we're rounding up. We have about 6 minutes on the clock. Do you want to say something? Oh, there is a question as you come up that just popped right in front of me from Sister Ingrid. Does the yellow fever have the same effect? I think she's referring to the yellow fever vaccine.
Okay, yeah, I'm not quite sure on that, but you know, it's a vaccine. Yellow fever is a virus, and it's the same thing, is that, you know, you need to take it before you travel to an endemic area for yellow fever. Right now, the endemic area for COVID is the entire world. So, you know, when you consult with your primary care physician, as Rosemary has said, regarding your underlying conditions and whether or not you should take the vaccine, you know, that would be my first go-to in terms of if you have, you know, comorbid illnesses, diabetes, hypertension, asthma, you know, different conditions, because you may be taking particular medications, immunosuppressive medications. And so rheumatoid arthritis, you may be taking immunosuppressive medications. So you definitely need to check with your primary care physician to see whether or not you can take the vaccine. But yellow fever vaccine, COVID vaccine, they're viruses, and yes, you definitely should take them.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Dr. Croney. I truly appreciate your contribution. I want to thank all of our panelists. And as we round up, I want to call on Mr. Marvin Thompson, Reverend Marvin Thompson. Can you come up, join me, and answer a question that you are so passionate about? Go ahead.
Yes. If someone is negative for both the virus and the antibodies from the nasal swab, you still should take the vaccine, because what that means is you are very susceptible to the infection. You have never been exposed to the virus, and you need protection from the virus. So by all means, make sure you get the vaccine because you're vulnerable to it.
Okay, thank you very much for that answer. We're going to proceed and hear like closing remark from our Pastor Rod.
Hey everyone. Wow. I'm just so thankful. I don't know about you, but I am thankful, grateful for our panelists. Can we give a round of applause for our panelists? Let's go. Thank you so much for giving of yourselves, giving of your knowledge and information so that we can be edified and we can have a better understanding of this vaccine. So my prayer for everyone is that you would be covered, you would be safe, and that you would make wise decisions and use this information to make wise decisions as we move forward. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope to see you guys soon. God bless.